this B2B SaaS founder's homepage has a really solid product, but a headline that could have belonged on any other SaaS company's site. It was just a little too safe and a little too vague and a little too upmarket sounding for an early to mid-stage product. The project itself, brilliant. A smart QR-to-SMS play built for trade shows, way more engaging than any badge scanner app or LinkedIn QR code. In this Clarity Jam, we dig into how too many CTAs might be killing conversions, why many founders think they need early access messaging when they really just need messaging clarity, and how to build a messaging wedge that actually converts people. Let's dive in.
Hi, I'm Horacio, the CEO and founder of Boop. We are an event engagement platform that uses QR codes and automated text messages to engage attendees free at conferences, events, trade shows, exhibits.
I love it. So thanks Horacio first for coming on to Clarity Jams. And second of all, for people who are less familiar with it, what's kind of the main reason that somebody is going to sign up for Boop?
Yeah, so just a quick background on why we built it. I was using digital tools at conferences and events. The internet is typically pretty bad at convention centers or conference centers. And so anytime LinkedIn or digital business cards, I was running into a lot of friction trying to just share basic information. And so we built a system that instead of taking you to a web page, will just automatically either text you a digital profile or a digital survey asking a few questions. Typically, those surveys are set up beforehand by whoever's exhibiting or showing at the event.
I love it. Kind of so solving your own itch.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the best software products out there were literally created for that particular reason. So with this product, I'm like, it's definitely a niche, but I also know that there's other products like it. Who are like kind of who do you see as your competitors? Is it other software? Is it inertia? Is it LinkedIn? Is it spreadsheets? What are you kind of thinking in terms of competitors?
Yeah, so I'd say our biggest competitor right now for the digital profile is probably the LinkedIn QR code. And then, yeah, I would say that's our biggest competitor on the digital profile side. On the actual full solution, we are competing effectively with like badge scanners at the exhibits and the trade shows.
Got it. And what are some of the unique things that Boop does that you can't do with a badge scanner or with LinkedIn?
Yeah, so we're able to capture contextual data based on the interactions that you have at the booths or in person, whereas badge scanners typically will just give you like work info, title. We can actually capture what's called zero-party data. It's data that's provided directly from the end party or user via SMS prompts.
And what does that, and for someone who maybe is unfamiliar, what does that mean? What's an example of that?
Yeah, so one of the exhibitors we recently worked with added a few BANT questions, and so they were able to assess timelines and authority based on who stopped by their booth as well. So they were able to, after the event, quickly go through, sort and filter, and find who was making buying decisions pretty fast from that data.
Very cool. And I think we can kind of get into your homepage if you don't mind sharing your screen.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so kind of walk me through what you were thinking. I know you refined this page a lot, which kudos. Definitely something I highly recommend for anyone who is a startup in particular, but kind of walk me through your process for how you thought about your H1 and your hero section.
Yeah, so for the hero section, the way that we came up with this was a lot of the kind of pain points that we heard was just all of the current tools out there that were web-based, and to a certain extent, it was why we built it was, hey, like these tools just aren't engaging, they don't work, there's a lot of friction, and so we're like, let's just make this really simple and add a demo. So the hero is to kind of guide people to go ahead and just, hey, scan the QR code. It'll kick off a survey. You'll see exactly how it works. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just a very straightforward hero and kind of tackling the problem that we solve, which is engagement, and it actually works. So
So that QR code within the screenshot is literally taking you directly to an interactive demo of the product.
Yes.
I love it. And is that screenshot also basically just showcasing exactly what's up, the animated GIF showcasing exactly what's happening?
Yes.
Nice. Kudos. That's definitely awesome. My question to you is, I wonder if your H1 could be a little bit more specific, because engagement that actually works is that actually, I love the demo, but I wouldn't necessarily fully know if you hadn't told me that that was actually going to be a demo of your product. And engagement that actually works, and well, that could be for a group, but that could also literally be any social media management platform, any SMS thing. Like, is there something that's a little bit more specific to how heads of marketing or salespeople are actually thinking about your software or things like that, instead of that's,
Yeah, so specifically the QR to SMS technology that is unique to our product. And then the conditional branching logic for the micro surveys for the contextual for the context of the surveys themselves. We could probably speak to that a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to get that specific, but it could just be something that's a little bit more into the main goal someone's going to get from this is getting all of that zero party data and also in converting that into more revenue, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe speaking to that instead of something a little bit more vague, like engagement.
Yeah, that makes sense. So speaking more to the outcome of the engagement.
Yeah. And then another thing that I would maybe suggest on this page is, I love the interactive demo. Make that clear within that description. Like, I think what you have now is fine. Drop a boop QR code anywhere on screen, stuff like that makes sense. But maybe speak to make sure that someone who's seeing this knows to scan that QR code. Because that's not necessarily entirely clear, even though it's almost there.
Yeah, so you don't think that this piece here and then this is
I would combine those two.
okay.
And then something else I had a question about, which is, I'm not opposed to having two CTAs if it makes sense. Get early access in your case does make sense since it's an early stage startup. What is Get the Playbook?
It's a drip campaign, and it just kind of walks through a few case studies.
Do people actually click that?
Yeah, we've had a handful of people fill it out. Yeah.
Compared to Get Early Access?
Yeah, get early access has a higher fill out rate.
Yeah. So in that case, given that you also have Get Early Access in your navigation menu, thank you for actually having the same CTA across both. Super rare, but also super effective when you have the same one across both of them. Would it make more sense to just make everything then be Get Early Access and then just have your Get the Playbook be further down on the page, so you're not diluting the one action that I suspect is even more important for conversions?
You're saying to get rid of Get the Playbook in the hero and just having the engagement playbook at the end?
Having that just be elsewhere within your homepage. So therefore, you're just driving everyone to your one primary call to action, having one call to action. In my experience, doing a lot of this across writing a lot of different landing pages and homepages across a lot of different sites. You never, like, the less CTAs you have and the more clear you are on what you want people to do, the way more likely they're going to take that action. And if you already know that more people are clicking on Get Early Access, which is what you want anyway, why give them more options they don't need?
Yeah. I think the thought behind it was someone with to capture the lower intent people who still might be interested, but yeah, it's kind of a trade-off, I think, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, that is totally on the money. I would just argue, put that Get the Playbook further down and bury it in your homepage a little bit. Doesn't mean it shouldn't be on your homepage. It should absolutely be there, but treat it the same way that a lot of sites
I see what you're saying.
That treat their newsletter, where it's like, instead of a newsletter, it's like Get the Playbook, and you have that be kind of before the footer, but not necessarily the first thing you're telling people to do.
Yeah, we have one at the very end of the page. So I'm wondering if we just get rid of this one and keep that one.
That would be money. And I'm going to just, from what you just shared already, you will see an increase in conversions by just taking off that secondary CTA right there. and just letting the get early access to all the tracking.
Awesome.
If you want to scroll down. Okay, so the problem, I like it. You're going directly in with problem, agitate solution, awesome. Sometimes through story brand as well. So the problem of traditional event engagement and follow-up. Are those 5 things that you have there the actual things that heads of marketing are actually telling you are the problem, or you?
Yeah, these are directly from conversations that I've had with them.
Cool.
And even up to like CFOs. So it's
I know you're pretty early stage, but do you have enough logos or enough examples to add a logo bar, or like one money testimonial or 3 smaller testimonials directly before the problem?
So all of the pilots we've done have been with big brands, but we don't have marketing rights. So we don't have any we don't have any marketing rights on it.
Got it. That's super common and also super annoying.
Yeah.
But I know why that's not the case. You have the ability to do an anonymized case study.
I'd have to find out, but possibly.
Yeah, that could be a way to kind of skirt around that, where it's just like oftentimes when it's like an enterprise company, when you're working with a lot of enterprise brands or big brands where you have to go through legal, PR, comms, and they don't necessarily want to give you the logo. One of the ways to get around it and still get that social proof is to be like, hey, X company in X industry saw 5X lift from using Boop or something like that. Either as that kind of sort of headline / case study, where you're not necessarily giving the tell of the company, but you're still being able to showcase that social proof.
Yeah.
Scroll down. How SMS smart surveys work. That makes sense. I do wonder if you can add a screenshot or just another GIF that just kind of animated GIF that just kind of showcases exactly what Boop does, so that it feels like it's clean. It makes sense, but just kind of gives people additional ways to know that this is a really developed tool that works.
Yeah. I think that's kind of is that what you're looking for here, maybe, or?
I would say, do you have one that's like specifically showcases this? I mean, this does that, but I would almost wonder if there's like a secondary thing within your app that you could show.
Like a dashboard, or yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, we have a dashboard we could that's like that has like the lists and the surveys.
Cool. Yeah, that would definitely be a good thing to add in here. The next section being kind of built for real order conditions. Would it make, I like that headline, but would it even make more sense to kind of call out works offline, since it sounds like that's your biggest value prop in one of the H2s?
I don't know how big. I mean, I think it is a large value prop, but I think it's like a back of mind problem, solving for a bigger problem. But it is like a large problem, but I don't think people think of it until it's like a live thing where they're like, oh, like that is a problem.
Got it. What would you say? What is the number one reason, or like the number one trigger that kind of gets someone off the edge and actually into trying out Boop?
They're looking for more engaging solutions for high ticket events.
And that makes sense, but what is kind of the trigger? Yeah. What's going even more micro than
that? I'm not sure that we've actually dived deep enough into discovery to actually know the answer to that. Because we've just gone directly to pilots after just demoing the tool. So I guess we probably should have gone deeper in discovery on that.
In your demo, that's totally fine. But in your demo, what are the things that like kind of wow people?
I just think just as soon as you scan it, like just getting a text is pretty engaging. So it's just like, oh wow, this is like once people use it, they're always just wowed right away because it's a pretty fast QR to text. And so from like the moment someone uses it, incoming text is engaging.
Got it. And what do they say about that?
They just instantly like, oh wow, it's every time
Got
I
it.
show someone, because it's an in-person interaction, and so it's a new technology, and so that in and of itself is pretty engaging.
Could you maybe kind of lean into that a little bit more within this copy that kind of explains that kind of wow effect?
Yeah, yeah. I think that actually does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, and then maybe it sounds like you probably are doing a little bit of this, but maybe kind of reach out to some of your customers from these pilots and current and past and do some like jobs to be done interview to kind of figure out what is that final thing that gets them from this is a cool wow experience to I'm going to sign up, and then make sure that make that your wedge on the page, particularly if, yeah, I was called a wedge because, what is that one thing? What is the final thing that is actually okay, I need this right now? That's your wedge, and that's what's going to drive conversions.
Yeah, I think from the conversations that I've had, it's like the contextual bottom of funnel data, and so I think it's the combination of the engagement plus the bottom of funnel data.
I would get maybe a little bit more clarity around that and
Okay.
then make that a little bit more apparent throughout this page. Like you're already 90% of the way there, but kind of really leaning into that more and figuring out that final wedge piece is going to drive your conversions up even more than they already are.
Okay.
And then scroll down. Perfect for any situation. Okay, so trade shows, you're just kind of showcasing the use cases. That makes sense. Um, why SMS beats apps every time? That's interesting. You kind of were telling to me that some of this was one of your competitors being kind of the LinkedIn features built in, as well as just like badge scanners. But now you're talking about apps. I know badge scanners are technically apps as well, but could this be maybe a little bit clearer to kind of showcase the fact that it sounds like your real competitor is like the built-in features within LinkedIn?
So I think for this piece, I kind of misspoke about saying LinkedIn being our main competitor for this. I would say that it's more badge scanners specifically for this piece.
Got it. In that case, maybe just say why SMS beats badge scanners.
Okay. Yeah.
Just the more specific you can be, the more clear you are, the more compelling it becomes. And then you're kind of showcasing exactly what badge scanners do versus why an SMS smart survey like yours makes
Yeah.
more sense.
So there are a handful of field teams that also use like Google Forms, and there's a few other engagement tools that they use, but I'd say that probably the number one tool is Badge Scanner. So you would say to contrast it against the number one tool, or
I would do the one where you're losing the most, where you see the most objections come up and where you're losing the most deals.
okay.
And then what you could also do that would be killer, and will almost guarantee to be kind of both an arbitrage play as well as a way to objection handle is just, if you haven't already, create comparison pages. So create a dedicated landing page specifically for each badge scanner app that you're up against. And also you can put it by their brand name, so you can also get some arbitrage on LLMs as well as on Google. Do another one for LinkedIn versus, Boop versus LinkedIn with that use case. And so forth for every, and then maybe you can even do one for like Boop versus DIY, DIY, done, basically just with Google Forms or whatever weird hacky solution a marketing team comes up with. Have it for each one of those pages, and don't necessarily put that in your homepage, but just put it in your photo, so you can be able to start to, get really, really clear and objective handling and telling those stories so that you convert.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. Scroll down. Can you maybe walk me through kind of what was the goal behind this section?
Yeah, so I think the idea behind this piece is um, the tool is built, but we're continuing to add features. And so as we continue to do more pilots, as teams use it at conferences and events, just being able to give direct feedback and access and be able to help us build the tool.
Is that something that's coming up a lot within demos and actually being well received?
Um, yeah, so a lot of it's about like CRM integrations and just certain like features. And so I think being clear that they'll have the ability to have inputs on what gets built. Yeah.
So just the like inputs about what gets built, but not necessarily around first mover advantage or founder pricing or yeah.
Um, so uh, yeah. These were kind of marketing copy that we came up with as well for the first movers advantage and in the founder pricing.
Do you think you might be selling yourself short? And instead of, basically, leading with things like founder pricing or first mover advantage, which doesn't even sound like something that your audience even is asking you about, just be like, hey, help us build the feature. And like, we take our customers' feedback super seriously, white glove support, shape the product, and kind of give into that, as opposed to diluting that with like pricing and first mover advantage stuff that almost sounds like you're hedging.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. I think that was kind of just like almost like a copy fill.
Yeah, I would maybe get rid of those two because it's not help. I don't think it's helping you. If anything, it makes your product. It's almost diluting some of the value props of how good the product is.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So
If you even want to go even further, just keep the shape the product one and get rid of all the other three.
yeah. Well, I think this has been actually the Slack piece of it has been useful as well.
Oh, then keep that one, but maybe make that its own little block section within your homepage. That's super common. And then just really lean into maybe get rid of help us build the feature and make it something that's a little bit more about exactly what it is, which is, hey, shape, communities, community-wide features, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Scroll down. And then ready to capture real conversations. So this is, I'm guessing, your version of a pricing page.
Yeah.
Cool. And then walk me through why you have two of them.
So this was the engagement. This is for people who aren't ready to take the early access step.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Could you maybe call, I mean, before you kind of like download the playbook, would that make more sense?
Say that again.
I think you had called it like download the playbook before.
Yeah, the engagement kit, I
Yeah.
think. The playbook, yeah.
Why are you now in this section calling it get the complete guide?
Um, I think we had both of them, and we just forgot to update the copy on this one.
Okay, cool. And then something that you might want to do is if you basically only have one option, make that be center and then just have kind of your get the playbook be either underneath it or in smaller text. So you're not giving the same amount of real estate and you're just making it way more obvious that somebody can, get started right now.
Yeah. So maybe you're saying like make this like a 2/3 and this a 1/3, or
Yeah, either 2/3 and 1/3, or just make the pricing be centered and then just have a smaller box below it for download the playbook if you're not ready. But having them both be the same weight makes it, a little bit more like it creates a little bit more friction. Unless, of course, you have like kind of the rule of three in terms of pricing.
yeah, that makes sense.
Cool, awesome. If you want to stop sharing your screen, is there before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to add?
Did I want to no, I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on Clarity Jams.
Yeah,
And drop.
thank you for having me.